Hey guys, it's me again, and today's video is a little bit different. I just want to share with you guys how I got started with this entire career, what made me fall in love with flying, why am I flying, why is this such a passion of mine, and also what inspired me right now to share this video is actually my daughter, who asked me, hey mom, the teacher is reaching out to everybody, check your email. So I did, and it said, hey Shelly, would you like to share with everyone your career? I did not know that she was reaching out to everybody. I thought it was just me and someone else because that's what she said. So I figured at the time I couldn't do it because I was scheduled to work. Unfortunately, I got injured on the job, so I'm off work right now, but I had said no. So I communicated with her and I said, hey, you know what, change in plans, I can. I'm actually available, I won't be flying. So she went ahead and said, okay, great, this is your time slot, this is when I want you to Zoom. I'll send you a link and I need you to Zoom to the entire class. Come to find out, it was literally 4 classes times 2. So there was like 8 classes. So we were aired throughout the school. All the teachers were participating. They were asking questions. So we just kind of shared our career and what made us, want to get into it and why this career. And so I just thought, hey, let me share this with everybody. And it was just really, really great to share a passion that I had. It's one thing to share it with my viewers here on YouTube, but to share it with children. And it's funny because the way that I was explaining how I got to like it, I was like, you know what? I want to share the same thing with my viewers who don't know where it all comes from. And you guys know where I'm at now as far as, hey, you know what, I've gone through the training, here I am, and this is my life right now, but you guys don't know how I got there. So I just thought it'd be really interesting, even if you guys want to share this video with your children, little cousins, or just want to get together and listen to it, because I thought, because at the end of my interview, again, you don't get to see the kids, you're just basically talking to yourself like I'm doing right now, but all the kids on the other side are seeing you. You can hear them sometimes because they do mute and unmuted, so you can hear them talking, and obviously the kids get all excited when they see your parent on the big screen. But it was really interesting to get the feedback from the teachers. And afterwards, that same evening, my daughter had a gathering. She was awarded the most improved basketball player of the year. So while we were doing that, the coaches came up to me and they're like, we saw you on Zoom, you were excellent, that was really good. So I'm like, you know what, let me share what I said with all of you, because I kind of want to give you a background and an understanding on where how I got here. So let's rewind. When I was very young, my parents used to be huge in traveling. We used to get into the car and go to Plattsburgh, which was about an hour and a half from Montreal. And, it was a big thing because we were going to the United States by car. Oh my gosh. I remember we'd cross the border, and the first thing we would do is go to our 24-hour pancake place, which was either IHOP or, or I think it was Denny's at the time. I can't remember, but one of those two. And for us, Sundays, everything shut down in Canada. Everything shuts down. You name it, you have to stay home. There's nothing to do. But we would take the car early morning, we would cross the border, and here we are, we're in Plattsburgh, so exciting. Now, we also took flights into Florida. So we were big on flying into Florida. My mom was looking into buying those timeshares. So I remember playing by the lake there. There's lakes in Florida. And so I remember just these two little two events, and there was more after that, but just kind of made me like traveling. We were always doing fun stuff on days off. I remember we went to Frontier Town. We saw a bunch of cowboys. I mean, most of these trips were taken via plane, and some of them in the car. Now, I'm not big on car rides. I don't mind them with the right company, but it's not something that I like to do. Road trips are not my thing, but every time we would fly, you guys, it was probably a short flight, it would just stay with me. I'd just be like, this is so much fun. How does a plane even take off? It's so heavy. Look at her in the front making announcements. I wonder what it takes to do that. I remember thinking that, and every time I'd see a plane, I'm always looking up. I don't know if you guys are like me. Whenever you see a plane, you're looking up in the sky. And I remember thinking, this is definitely something I want to be. Not be a pilot, but I had a fear of flying. I've always been so scared of flying. I know sounds really ridiculous. A lot of people are telling me, don't say that, don't say that. But I want to be truthful. I was always scared of flying. I was one to hold on to whoever's next to me, even to a point where I would rip off their shirt. I don't know if I do talk about it in my old posts about turbulence. I'll never forget, I was dating someone in Canada, Toronto, and I went to see him. Now, we had the worst drop in my whole lifetime. Even looking back, I've been in planes all the time. I've never felt this kind of drop. It really went, like, it was turbulent, and we dropped so dramatically that my heart, it's like being in an amusement park. My heart dropped. I remember, and the turbulence continued, and then we took a dive. I mean, it was horrible. I remember holding on to someone's shirt, and I actually ripped it, and I had my hand. So I remember thinking, this is fun. I love to travel, but I don't like the aspect of turbulence, until I mastered it, which is really weird, because when you master something, you become more comfortable and you understand how it works, as opposed to be the person that's experiencing it. For example, being a nurse didn't bother me, but getting an injection bothered me, as long as I was in control. So if I'm in control of a plane and I know what to do, I'm okay. But if I'm sitting down taking a flight, I'm not in control, I'm not okay. So it's just the weirdest thing. But anyways, so I've flown quite a bit with my parents. And then when I grew older, I just decided to travel to Cancun and just get out of the weather, the cold weather that we had. So I would go to Florida, I would go to Cancun, I would go to Cuba. Yes, Cuba, we were allowed to go. We're Canadians, they didn't have any issues with us. And it was just like literally 3 hours. So I kept on escaping. I went to Republic Dominican, I went to Mexico, went to so many places just for the weekend, sometimes for a week. I would save up a lot of money. I would go and come back and just enjoy. Now, again, I didn't like the flying part. I enjoyed when the flight was good and there was no turbulence. I love the experience. I love looking out the window. I love taking off. I love getting free snacks. And I remember back then it was blankets. I just love that whole aspect of it. Now, when I wanted to become a flight attendant, I had to put that fear aside, because I knew I'm going to be going through so much turbulence in my career time. I don't expect everything to be smooth, and I need to get used to it. And you are either seated in the front of the plane or in the back of the plane. Now, as you know, if you're seated in the back of the plane, there's a lot more turbulence than when you're seated in the front. And so it's to be expected when you are seated, and depending on the type of plane you are, because I noticed Airbuses are very different than 737s. So now that I've experienced both, I can definitely say there is a difference as far as turbulence is concerned, just the way that the plane is structured and the way that it impacts you as a person sitting in the backpack. So with that said, once I overcame my fear, and I have a video about overcoming my fear. I gotta pick up my kids, so I have to keep an eye on the time. So I overcame my fear by flying more, by accepting it, by breathing through my fear, by looking into it as a kind of like part of a, I'm just accepting it. It's going to be part of my travels. If I want to get from point A to point B, I need to accept it. And I know that if something is going to happen, something's going to happen, whether I'm driving or flying. There's less risk of flying than there is driving. So I've also shared that with the kids. I told them, you know what, it is safer, much safer than driving, which is a fact, For you, when you look at the news, you'll see a lot more car accidents than you will see plane crashes or whatnot. And if there is a plane crash, sometimes it's not a deadly one, knock on wood. That happens, if that happens, there's more chances of you surviving than there is in a car crash, because car crashes impact, and it's pretty hard. I've been in a car crash and it was horrible. It took me months and months to recoup from that. So that was a really, really bad incident that took place in my 20s, early 20s, but that's another story in itself. So, all right, guys, if you are watching this video and you're young and want to become a flight attendant, you guys have to know that it is more than just a pretty smiling face and someone that wants to serve snacks. Okay, just so you know, we are not trained to do that at all. Like, they won't even cover that. You're lucky if you're even holding a tray for a few hours, not even, just to kind of get the feel of what the tray feels like. That's if you're working for a certain airline. Other airlines, it's actually a cart. They'll make you kind of feel what the cart feels like, open some doors, and that's it. That is your training, and that's usually kept toward the end of the training. Now, during the 30 days that you are being trained to be everybody. You are a fireman because you have to extinguish that fire, is what I was telling the children that I spoke to in the classes. It's really important because if there's a fire, you can be in danger within less than 60 seconds. That fire can spread really quickly, you guys, and the smoke can get engorged, and you are gonna be basically at risk as far as breathing and surviving within the first 90 seconds. So it's really important. If there's a fire, we need to extinguish it right away. So we are firefighters. Now we are also therapists, because not everybody travels and they're having a great experience going to some kind of Hawaii island. No. A lot of them are traveling because there is a funeral. They are traveling also because there are some issues, family issues, someone's hurt, or someone needs therapy, or someone's going through something and needs to get away and they're just going through something. So you're there to hold their hand. You're there to make sure that they're having a good travel time, knowing that they are cared for. So we are therapists. We're also nurses, you guys. For example, I've had issues in my first flight with my new airline. I had 2 emergencies on my first 2 legs. Yes. And I was the first one to respond. So we're really trained and well prepared. I do have my background in nursing, so that helped a lot. But we also are trained to kind of jump at the occasion, to be there and to respond properly to any incidents that could happen. And so I had a lady who had a seizure. And so I was explaining to the children that you need to know what to do immediately. You can't just let that sit. You got to let everybody know. You got to let the captain know. Captain has a number that he calls, which is kind of like a medical service that he can actually contact, and they will advise as to what to do. What's the patient's name? What's the patient's age? What are the symptoms? What's the the heartbeat, pressure? We have all that on board, so we have to make sure that we know all that so we can translate the information to MedLink. But I took over that incident because the first one that finds that person needs to be responsible for that person. So I let everybody know what was going on, and we worked as a team and we took care of that incident. So that was pretty cool, to say the least. I mean, other than working a flight, there's always some adventures. And that's another thing I explained, was you never know what to expect, you guys. You basically are flying. You never know what's going to be thrown at you. There could be so many issues. You can have a birth on board. You can have a woman just going in labor out of the blue, so you have to know what to do. You can have a cardiac arrest, a heart attack. You have to know what to do and jump on that situation right away. Again, smoke, we talked about that. There is so many things that could happen, you guys. Also, decompression. Obviously, decompression, you have to think really quickly because your oxygen masks are dropping, and you're just like, if you don't have that proper oxygen and you don't take care of yourself, then you can't really take care of an entire plane. So it's really important to know what to do when there's some decompression or the oxygen mask have dropped because it needs you, or an evacuation, an emergency evacuation. You need what to do, whether it is planned or unplanned. They do prepare you for both. Obviously, when it's unplanned, there's not much you can do because, hey, we're going down. But planned, we have a little bit of window before the plane lands. It could be just, the gear that doesn't want to get out. Something's wrong with the motors, whatnot. There's always time to prepare. So we try to prepare as much as we can. But again, everything that we do is emergency, know how to lock our doors, and know when to pre-flight check everything before we take off, make sure everything is in working condition. Also, kind of repeat our commands as we take off or land, just in case there's an emergency. It's still fresh in our mind. All right, so with that said, you guys, there's a lot more than a pretty face, is what I was telling everyone. Also, as far as education, you guys, I was talking about languages. The more languages that you have, the better opportunities that you will have. Now, you do get paid more with some airline if you master more than one language. So let's say you know English and Spanish. They will look at your curriculum, your resume, and if they see that, hey, this person knows 2 to 3 languages, that actually works in your advantage, and you can actually apply, like, for example, Delta, American, they do fly to different countries who speak different languages. So the more language you have, the more opportunities you have to travel, seniority, and also pay. Now, with some regional or my airline or the other airline I used to work for, there was not really They didn't really favor you whether you knew a language or not. They're not going to be like, oh, we want her over her because she knows 3 languages and she doesn't. It wasn't really a problem, not a problem, but like an advantage until they looked into it a little bit further, and they saw that they flew a lot more to South America with my old airline and my new one too. I think the more knowledge you have and the more education. Now they want you to have a GED or high school diploma or GED equivalent. But as soon as you have a college degree or above, it looks better. It looks that you've been in school, you've done the work, you're a little more experienced as far as, being in school, and your knowledge is really important. Also, if you are, so school and the experience, customer service experience, you guys, really important. If they see that you have a year compared to someone that's had 10 years, obviously that maturity, that knowledge will favor this person that's had a lot more. And I don't think that because you only have 1 year of customer service, it's not going to work. It could work. It's just that when they ask you questions about your experience, you may not have as much experience as someone that's been in customer service all this time, has had so many issues and knows how to work them out, or have been confronted with so many situations that they have to find a solution. You may not have had that many, but they still want to interview you and see and pick at your brain to see where you've been and what have you done so far. So it's really important, you guys. Education, education, education. I did say to the kids in the classroom, I did tell them, hey, you know what, finish your high school, very important. And if you can move and continue, go to college, go to university, get that degree. It will not work against you. In a lot of positions in this world, the more education you have, the more money you make. So it's not gonna work against you to study more. And you may like something that you didn't know you did as you're specializing in something. I've done a lot of studies, and I've gone from education, from phys ed to psychology to nursing to modeling, to acting, to producing. I've always been in a lot of things. And, it's always finding something that really will kind of speak to your heart and will tug to your heart. Now, going back to what I shared to the kids, I just kept telling them, if this is a dream of yours, if this is something you're passionate, every time you see a plane you want to look up, or you go to the airport and you're just fascinated by planes, and every time you are flying, you're looking at flight attendants and you're just in awe of what they do and the countries they travel to, the states they go to, the people they get to meet. And I also mentioned how you never work with the same team, okay? So you're not in an office 9 to 5 staring at your computer with the same people for the next 20 years. Take that out of your mind. Every time you work on the line, you are sharing your personality with new people every single time. So if you have a 3-day trip, 3-day pairing, you're basically with those people for those 3 days. And once you break away, you will never see them again, or maybe you will in the future, but not right away. And then you have another trip 3 days later, and you have a 2-day trip, new people, new pilot, new everybody. You introduce yourself, you're starting from scratch. So you are making friends literally on a weekly, and you have to be open to that. You're gonna meet some good people, amazing, fun, adventurous, cool, high five, just like you. And then you're gonna meet the grumpy, why am I here? I've had so many years of experience, or I'm ready to retire. This is all BS, this company, blah, blah, blah. You always get the ends of the spectrum. You'll get the positive, and then you'll get the grumpy old man or old lady who just does not want to be there anymore, who has so many negative things to say. And that's just her personality, and you just need to accept it just because that's what makes them them. Not everybody needs to be on the same page. Now, it's how you let them affect you that will actually ultimately decide who you're going to be and how you're going to respond to those situations. You can be like, oh my gosh, this person's so negative. Why am I even working for this company? She's so right. And then you're with this cool person who just sees the positive in everything, and you can high-five them and have a great time through your career. So, and that's going to be in every job, you guys. Every job, you will get the positive people and the negative that want to drag you down with you. It's just up to you to kind of smile, just let them know that you've hurt them. It doesn't mean that you agree. You're just trying to get through this trip with them with a smile, and know that you'll never see them again. And even if you do, it's fine, because that's just have accepted who they are. So it's actually getting used to traveling with people of different character, different background, different ages. And if you're not comfortable with that, you guys, and not too social, this is going to be a really hard job for you guys. So I was also telling the kids that, you know, how you see your teacher every day and you see your friends every day, this is something different. As you grow older and you get involved as, you know, flight attendant or even a pilot, it's definitely something hard on you because you can't get attached. Because if you get attached, you have a 3-day trip, you get such a good time with this person, you may not never see them again unless you bid with them and want to travel with them. That's fine too, but chances are of you traveling with the same person again is very rare. But so it's a lot of changes, a lot of movement. It's a different job. It's a job you'll never see elsewhere. I can't think of a job that has this much motion. And then this new cities that you get to do, you know, if you want to take it easy one night and you're on a layover, you can stay in your room. If you don't feel like having a layover, or you do have a layover, but you just want to explore, then you can call the crew and say, hey, what are you guys up to? Or just explore by yourself. Just get a taxi and go check out, let's say, Texas. You know, ask around. What are the best places to go eat? I want to experiment. I want to experience life. I want to get around. So if this is something for you and you really see the beauty of being independent or the beauty of just exploring, this is definitely the job for you. So anyways, I hope you guys, this was informative. This is kind of a video you could share with your children about even grown-ups. I mean, some people just don't understand what it takes to be a flight attendant. It takes a lot of hats, you guys. Like I said, you're a paramedic, you're a firefighter, you're a nurse, you're a therapist. You have to be all that and more, and you're smiling because you're the image of the company, right? When they come in, they see your face, and once they leave, you say, thank you for flying with us. I really appreciate you. So again, remember, it takes a lot of dedication, and it's more than a pretty face. We're not just handing out pretzels and drinks, and we're not just waitress in the air, all right? We're a lot more than that, and we just hope that we never have to use the knowledge that we have just because we're trained for the worst. But if there is the worst on the plane, then we're equipped to take care of that. And proudly, I was able to handle it very calmly, even though my coworkers have had many years around me were very stressed out from the situation. And just the fact that I was fresh out of training, I think all the stuff came back to me. But you know what? It's in moments like that that you feel like, yeah, I've got the training, the proper tools to handle this situation. And so, yeah, so if this is for you and you think that this is a passion of yours, definitely go and be the flight attendant that I know that you can be. All right, thank you so much for watching me, and if you haven't done so, subscribe and click the notification bell because I will let you know when some airlines are hiring, and sometimes they only hire for a few hours. And also if you need some coaching because you know you have an interview coming up, flywithshelly@gmail.com or flyingwithshelly.com. On my website you can book a session, and I'm all yours, guys. All right, good luck and thanks for watching. Bye.